Thank you so much for tuning in to the Outlive the Labels podcast. I am your host, Dr. Mary Kaye Holmes. Today in the studio, we have a living legend here today. I'm so excited about this interview. Dr. George Fraser is in the building. He's going to bring you so much insight and information and wisdom. He is someone who was inducted in the Minority Business Hall of Fame and Museum. He's been awarded over 350 awards and citations from around the world. He has put on the Power Networking Conference for the past 15 years. And not only that, but he was selected by Forbes magazine in 2015 as one of the top 5 conferences not to be missed by entrepreneurs. The Power Networking Conference was selected by them as one of the top. And now Dr. Fraser, he's also the CEO and the founder of FraserNet. It's an award-winning 32-year global leadership network of 91,000 Black professionals, business owners, and community leaders. Listen, I want you to get out a pen and some paper because you're going to want to take some notes today. He is going to bring you so much value. I promise you. I'm so confident about it. So let's welcome Dr. George Fraser to the show. Thank you so much, Dr. Fraser, for accepting this interview and coming on here today to just help so many people. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
There we go. Thank you, Dr. Holmes, for having me. It's so good to be with you, and kudos to you for all of the incredible work that you have done, the commitment you made to your education, and just the servant leadership attitude that you bring to everything that you do. And you are a credit to our race and to the human race. Let me just make that real clear. And I'm happy to be with you this day. Thank you.
Thank you for accepting the invitation. Listen, it's such an honor just to have you on, and you are the #1 networking guru. That's your lane, and you offer so much in so many areas, but networking, you just give us so much. So I want to start off asking you a question about that. So to you, what are some of the most important rules in networking? Give us 3 of them, 3 rules in networking, in your opinion.
Yeah. Well, let me just start with sort of a 30,000-foot view of this big subject called networking, that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Make no mistake about that. As they go, so go you. Make no mistake about that. And the fastest way to change yourself is to hang out with people who are already where you want to be in life, right? No question about that. What am I really saying? I'm saying to you and to your audience, don't spend major time with minor people. People going nowhere want you to go nowhere with them. People doing nothing want you to do nothing with them. If you want to change your life, brothers and sisters, change your relationships, right? If you are not where you want to be in life, it is because you don't have the right people in your life. That is the bottom line. That there's no success that you can attain, sustain, or maintain on your own by yourself in a vacuum. It just cannot be done. You will have to do it with and through other people. There's a beautiful passage in the Bible, John 5:30, a direct quote from Jesus Christ. There are not that many direct quotes from Jesus Christ in the Bible. Of 800,000 words in the Bible, only about 1,200 of those words are direct quotes from Jesus Christ. So this is Jesus Christ, John 5:30. And Jesus said, I of my own self can do nothing. Now this was Jesus, the Son of God. And Jesus couldn't get it done on his own by himself. So what's up with you? Why would you think you could do anything significant, anything worth talking about on your own by yourself in a vacuum? You simply cannot do it. But there are laws, there are rules for effective networking and growing your influence and adding value to the world, to the community, and to the people that you meet. If we want to look at the 3 most important rules, there are many rules, but if we just want to synthesize what they are, let me start with number 3, okay? Number 3 would simply be you bring nothing to the table, that you do not understand the purpose of life, that the purpose of life is to love, to give, to serve, and to add the highest value to somebody or something every minute of every day. But you bring nothing to the table. Let me say that differently. God will invite everybody to the table of life to eat. There will be no exceptions to that rule. But if the only thing you do when you come to the table of life is eat, and you don't bring anything to the table, you will not be invited back. And it goes down very quietly. Two people are talking about a big project. Somebody brings up your name. The other person looks at them and says, no, they don't bring anything to the table. And you just never know these things, and so you're not invited in. So the question is, how do you bring something to the table? You have to be deeply committed to lifelong learning, constant never-ending improvement, and personal growth and development. That's how you bring something to the table. You have to learn. Are you a reader? Do you read? The average American only reads one book a year. If you read one book a month, in 5 years, you will have read 60 books, and the average American will have only read 5. If you're going to write, you got to read. You can't write without reading. So are you a reader? Are you a subject matter expert? One of the ways to succeed in life is to be an inch wide and a mile deep in your subject matter expertise, and then to be a mile wide and an inch deep in matters of the world, so that you can talk about something other than the weather and sports and what's going on with the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Are you a 360-degree human being? Can you engage in a meaningful conversation? So reading and studying and learning and constantly improving yourself is critically important, but that requires hard work. Um, and you know, God is constantly talking to us, telling us exactly what to do. But the challenge is, what he is telling us to do is hard, because everything in life is on the other side of hard. Um, and he's requiring us to change and to grow. And it's just easy as sitting on a couch, drinking a beer, watching television. Are you ready, willing, and able to do the hard work to keep learning and to keep growing through every passage of your life? If you're lucky, you live through 8 passages in life. Each passage is about 10 years. Let me say that differently. You're a different person at 10 than you were at 1. You're a different person at 20 than you were at 10. Let us pray. You're a different person at 30 than 20, 40 than 30, 50 than 40, 60 than 50, 70 than 60, 80 than 70. You're constantly evolving, and people are coming in and out of your life through the 3 networks that you're going to have to work on for your entire life. There are 3 networks that you're going to have to spend at least 30 to 40% of your time working on cultivating and nurturing. There's your personal network. This is your close circle of friends. These are the people that cheer you on and lift you up. Let's call that your network at home. Then there is your operational network. These are the people that help you to get specific tasks done in life, whether it's the place of business where you work, or in your own business, or whether some board that you're serving on. These people platoon in and out of your life. You help them get something done. They help you get something done, because we are a communal people. All right? So that's your operational network. And it's different through the various passages of your life. In fact, you could probably count on one hand the number of people that have been with you throughout your entire life. There's only one in my life, and that is my sister, Dr. Emma Fraser Pendleton. She's the only person living. I'm 76 as an elder. The only person living that has been with me throughout every facet of my own life. So this is what you're going to have to work on. This is what you're going to have to do. And you're going to have to be very intentional about it. And you're going to have to commit to learning and growing and adding value so that when you are around the table, you can bring something to that table. That's critically important. I talked about the personal network. I talked about the operational network. There's one other network that you're going to have to work on. This is a critically important network. And this is your strategic network. These are the people that are smarter than you. These are the people who will drag you into the 21st century kicking, screaming, and crying. These are the people that are where you want to be in life. These are the people who can ultimately end up being your coaches and your mentors. You want those kind of people in your life, because if you're the smartest person in your network, you're in the wrong damn network. You never want to be the smartest person in your network. You certainly want a sphere of relationships and friends and concentric circles of friends in all different categories of life, some at the highest categories in terms of just intelligence and emotional intelligence and IQ. But you want them all over, and so that you can draw on expertise and knowledge, because you don't know everything. I have a PhD, actually I have 3. I don't know everything. I don't know most things, but I have enough friends in a large enough network that almost anything that I want to know in life, they're simply a phone call away. So you've got to bring something to the table. I would say the third biggest mistake that people make when networking. They are not properly prepared. And they have to do that work. Now, the older you get, of course, hopefully the wiser you get. The more that you have experienced, the more failures you've had. I basically have failed my way to success, and I've understood for a very, very long time that the obstacle is the way. I mean, it's a beautiful, one of my favorite quotes outside of the Bible, I talk about this all the time, is a quote by Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was one of the 5 great Caesars. And it was Marcus Aurelius, also one of the founders of the Stoic philosophy. I am a Stoic, Stoic. Look it up. And it was Marcus Aurelius who said, "The impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way becomes the way." I love that. That's deep. Let me repeat it. The impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way becomes the way. Now, what is the first thing God does when he gives you an assignment that he feels that you're ready for? He puts an obstacle in your way. Because where there is no obstacle, there is no way. He puts an obstacle in your way. And your job is to find a way over, around, through, and under that obstacle so that you can learn the lessons from that obstacle. And when you do, you get an attaboy and you get an attagirl. You've learned the lessons. Maybe you failed, you've stumbled, but you have extracted what you needed to extract from that particular assignment or lesson. And then God gives you another assignment at a slightly higher level. And what is the next thing God does? He puts an obstacle in your way. And your job is to find a way over, around, through, and under that obstacle. And when you look back over your life, that is the story of your entire life. It's overcoming obstacles. So, this is how we bring something to the table. Overcoming the obstacles, learning the lessons, and using those lessons to take the next step in life, because it's first things first, second things never. Do the first thing, focus on it, do it with excellence, and do it well. And then the second thing becomes the first thing. Focus, 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 right? When you do that, you will garner knowledge, gather knowledge, and you will bring something to the table of life. Extraordinarily important. The second, I think, most important rule for effective networking is to understand that your EQ will be more important than your IQ. Your emotional intelligence, your ability to manage your 5 most important emotions and use the management of those emotions to cultivate, nurture, and to build relationships at work, at home, and in the community. I don't care how many degrees you have. If you have the personality of a box of rocks, you're not going anywhere in life. If you cannot work with and through people, inspire people, motivate people, work in a community, work in groups, you're not going anywhere. So your emotional intelligence and developing your emotional intelligence is critically important. There are 3 things that make you up as a human being. There's your personality, and there's an exam for your personality. And by the way, fundamentally, you cannot change your personality. You are who you are. You can modify it here or there, but you can't fundamentally change it. The second thing that makes you up is your IQ. And that is a measurement, or that's an exam that we take at an early stage in life that really just measures your capacity to learn. Very important. And by the way, you can't change your IQ. It is whatever it is. The third thing that makes you up as a human being is your emotional intelligence, or your EQ. It is the only thing of the 3 things that make you up that you actually can change. You can practice it, you can study it, you can learn it. So I recommend a wonderful book. I've read all of the books on this new science called emotional intelligence. The best one I've read is called Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Emotional Intelligence 2.0. A wonderful book. Pick that book up and read it a couple of times. In the book, you'll get a coupon to go on the author's website and take an EQ exam before you go through the book. And then after you finish with the book, learning the lessons of emotional intelligence, you take the exam over again. One of the reasons Barack Hussein Obama was able to leapfrog over a whole bunch of politicians who thought it was their turn to be president versus Barack's turn, because he was new to the Senate, he was only in there a couple of years, is because Barack Obama had a very high emotional intelligence. He was very likable. Of course, he was smart, no question about that. But he was also very well-rounded, very pleasant to be around. He could inspire people. You've seen him speak, right? And he could get along with people, and people wanted to work in groups and in communities, in a sense, with him and for him. Very high emotional intelligence, very critical in your fundamental ability to effectively network. So that would be number 2. The biggest rule of effective networking that most people break because they simply don't understand this rule. This is the number 1 rule, is that most people network to get something. Wrong. You network to give. And as you give, you get. If you ain't giving, you ain't getting. If you have nothing, it's because you've given nothing. That you cannot take out of life that which you have not put into life. Now, this is biblical. I didn't make this up. It is all over the Bible. It is better to give than to receive. So I'm advising to all of you watching this or listening to this, give until it hurts, and then give until it feels good. This is how life works. People who have ever observed me networking live and in public, and hopefully I'll get back to doing that next year after the pandemic. If I engage with another person, a new person, let's say it's a 5-minute conversation or a 10-minute conversation, what people will notice is that the person will ask me a question. I will answer that question succinctly and directly and truthfully. And then I will reverse the conversation and begin asking them a whole series of questions. Right? And if it's a 10-minute conversation, 9 minutes of that conversation is going to be about them. Now, Here's what's going on. What most people don't know is that I'm in a contest with them. This is a mindset. This is a mindset, Doc. I'm in a contest with you. The contest is, I believe that the first person that gives wins. So the reason I'm asking you a bunch of questions is I'm trying to find out who you are, what your needs are, what your vision is. And as you're talking, I'm going through my mental Rolodex of what is it that I have that I could give you right then and there. And when I do that, I win. I never say that, I never tell you that, but I feel better about myself. First person who gives wins. So the Power Networking Conference is all about that. This is our 20th anniversary of the Power Networking Conference. It's going to be virtual August the 11th through the 14th. But the whole Power Networking Conference, 1,500 people in a first-class hotel, and all of them are saying, how can I help you? What can I do for you? How can I serve you? How can I add value to your life? That's what the whole conversation is about. So here's the formula. It's a simple little formula. It goes like this. Help me help you. Help me. You see how that works? Right? Because the more I give, this is how the system is designed, the more I get. If you ain't giving, you ain't getting. This is how God has designed it. So giving is really what networking is about. How do you add value? Right? It's also in the way we introduce ourselves, which is one of the big mistakes we make, is we make a very poor or not proper introduction of ourselves. People are not interested in your entire life. They're at a networking event, they're meeting hundreds of people. They want to know enough about you so that that will pique their interest, so that they will want to know more about you later, and then they ask you for your card. You don't give people your card. Your card is requested, right? So a proper introduction is critical, but you only have 15 or 17 seconds to get people's attention and to keep their attention. And people are dialed into only one radio station, WIIFM. What's in it for me? They'll never say that to you, but that's what they're listening for. So there are 5 critical elements that you have to squeeze into your self-introduction, which should be no more than 15 or 17 seconds, maybe 70 words. And the 5 elements is who you are, where you're from, and what do you do? Who you are, where you're from, and what do you do? Those are the first 3 elements. The last 2 are the most important. How do you add value? And if you really add value, quantify it for me and prove it to me. All of that in 15 to 17 seconds. So here's a version of my self-introduction. Hi, I'm Dr. George Fraser from Cleveland, Ohio, by way of Brooklyn, New York. I'm the CEO and founder of Fraser Incorporated. I write books and speak on economic development and effective networking. I help people turn acquaintances into friends and contacts into contracts. And over the last 40 years, I've helped over 5,000 people access $1.5 billion in new business. Good to meet you. 72 words, 17 seconds. All right. Now, if that does not interest you, well, then I bless you and release you, or you bless and release me, and we're on to the next person. Right? So you have to quantify it. You have to say, this is what I do. This is how I add value in life. Why is that important? I said it earlier, because it is it is congruent with the purpose of life, which is to love, to give, to serve, and to add the highest value to somebody or something every minute of every day. And that's why an introduction like that on how you add value and then quantify how you add value is a powerful introduction. This is all part, if we wanted to look at the 3. Now I added a few things here and there because it just led to that. But in essence, those are the three things. Bring something to the table of value, right? You network to give and not to get. And that your EQ, as you grow older and wiser, you will find out that your EQ will be more important than your IQ.
Wow.
Those are the three things.
Yeah, those were powerful. Thank you so much. And I know, we can just go into so many other points, but because of the
Oh, my.
time, I had to, have you pick out three. But you gave us so much information. And look, I know for me personally, networking is something that I had to, learn to, I had to learn to get over myself over the years. you know,
That's right.
I struggled with networking because I had social anxiety in the past, and maybe there's someone
Hmm.
listening who, maybe you've dealt with that. Maybe you've had to overcome some of those things. Life had silenced my voice, and it took some time for me to break out of that shell. So I had to outlive the label of being shy and secure and afraid. And so one of the things as an entrepreneur, I had to learn how to show up, follow up, level up, and do all the
That's
things
right.
that Dr. Fraser shared with us today. And so I hope that you were taking some good notes. I was taking notes as I'm interviewing the man. I'm over here, got my Post-its, I'm
Mhm.
taking notes and writing down things. And I'm ready to get that book on emotional intelligence 2.0, I believe you said it was.
That's right.
Yes. So thank you so much for that information. Now, listen, one of the things that I've heard over the years, and I'm almost positive you've probably said this too, Dr. Fraser, is that your network determines your net worth. Is that true?
Yes, I wrote that. I wrote that 30 years ago in my first big book. Now I have 1,000,000 words published on effective networking, but I wrote this 30 years ago. Success Runs in Our Race: The Complete Guide to Effective Networking in the African American Community. It is a modern day classic. It's required reading in 57 historically Black colleges. It is a book that started the networking conversation and ultimately started the networking movement in Black America. And yes, in that book, you will find that quote. I have never complained or about the lack of attribution for many of these, let's call them compact or trite networking sayings. But the reason you want to have those kind of sayings is because it's easy for people to remember, right? So yes, your network will determine your network. Right, there's no question about that. If you're hanging out with 5 poor people, broke people, in about a year, you're going to be the 6th one, right? So, because everything is a system, Doc, everything is a system, right? And I tell brothers and sisters this all the time who are in business. If you don't have a system, you don't have a business. I don't know what the hell you have, but it ain't a business, right? Everything is a system. There's a system for getting A's. There's a system for getting 100s on the exams. I tell young people when I speak in colleges, if you're getting B's, if you're getting C's and D's, just check with your friends. They're probably getting C's and B's, C's and D's as well. And because there's a system for getting the C's and D's, right? And so you don't know the system for getting A's. You only know the same system that your friends are following, right? So that means you have to change your friendships and you have to hang out with people who are getting A's and then follow their system. There's a system for everything, right? You just have to be mature enough to understand that. And so that's how we have to understand that our lives are so infected, affected, and effected by the people around us because we adapt their systems. And people who are broke, that's a system, right? You hanging out with broke people, you're following their system, you're going to be broke too.
That's right. Wow. And wait a minute, did I hear you correctly? You coined the phrase, your net worth determines your net worth?
Oh yeah, I coined that phrase and I coined another phrase, connect the dots.
Wow.
Doctor, time tested. You could pick up Success Runs in Our Race at Amazon today. I mean, how many books do you know that's 30 years old, that's still selling 10,000 copies on Amazon today, 30 years later? So you can pick up Success Runs in Our Race. You could read that book right now, and it would read like it was written yesterday, right? So everything you need, especially if you are an African American, because it was really written with African Americans in mind. I mean, that's what it says. Success Runs in Our Race, the complete guide to effective networking in the African American community. When I wrote that book 30 years ago, there were already 14 books on networking. I read every single one of them. You know what I was looking for when I was reading them? What didn't they say? They all basically said the same. But what they didn't talk about was the cultural proclivities and picadillos of people of African descent. We are different from them.
Right.
We interact, right, differently than them, right? We learn differently than them. We're oral, visual, tactile, kinesthetic, and auditory learners. They're archival learners, right? So I wanted to write a book on network that spoke to the proclivities and the cultural propensities of our own people.
Wow.
And so I knew that I had to get catchy phrases, right? Catchy, short phrases that could be remembered and repeated. That's how you teach. Because learning, the key to learning is simplicity and repetition. You got to say it 50 different ways on 50 different days. You got to keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. You got to get it to its essence. You got to get it in a short phrase, and you got to get everybody saying the same thing. That's how you change things.
Wow. Yes, I love it. Yeah. And you definitely have given us some insight that has been repeated for many years and implemented. Thankfully, people are taking this and running with it. I'm one of them. So yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about breaking the cycle of poverty. And, I know that networking can certainly help in that, and it can work wonders and make, because I know for me, like I said, as an entrepreneur, as a budding entrepreneur, I had to get over myself and step out of that shell in order to break that cycle of poverty. So talk to us about that. Give us some words of advice and some wisdom about breaking that cycle.
Yeah. Well, you and I are cut from the same cloth. You know my history. Born and raised in Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn, New York. Family of 11, 8 boys and 3 girls. My father came to this country in the early 1900s from Guyana. Married a beautiful, fair-skinned sister, Ida Mae Baldwin, from Lumpkin, Georgia. And when I turned 2 years old, my mother became mentally ill. My father was a cab driver for 40 years of his life. And when mom became mentally ill, dad could not take care of 11 children. So we were orphaned. I was in an orphanage at 2, stayed in an orphanage from 2 to 5, and then put into 3. We were put into toxic foster care. Not an indictment of foster care. I'm a huge fan of foster care. It's just that at that time we were in several foster care homes because they were not good. And it was a rough life. It really, really was. And no one thought I was college material. So I went to a vocational high school and got a diploma in carpentry. And I was okay with that because I knew another great man who was a carpenter. See, it's how you think about it, right? It's how you think about it. And I couldn't get a job in carpentry in New York City because the Italians controlled the carpenter trade and union. So my first real job, and I'm going somewhere with this, I promise you. My first real job was mopping floors on the midnight shift at LaGuardia Airport. I was really working for the Port Authority, so it was a real job. I had health care, I had benefits, etc. I had a uniform, and I was a maintenance guy. And I had a section of LaGuardia Airport where I was responsible for the bathrooms, the urinals, and the floors, right? So I decided, long before Dr. King said it, that I was going to be the best floor mopper in the history of LaGuardia Airport. That was an approach to life. That somehow, in some way, I was going to climb out of this hole that I was in. And I prayed to God to help me understand, why am I mopping floors on the midnight shift at LaGuardia Airport? The answer did not come to me until many years later as I look back on that responsibility. But if you go to LaGuardia Airport today and you go down into the maintenance department, There's a plaque on the wall. That plaque is me. I was the most awarded and best floor mopper in the history of LaGuardia Airport. What's the point? How you do anything is how you do everything. Chase excellence, never chase money. When you are excellent at whatever it is you choose to do, you will never have to worry about competition. You will never have to worry about money. Money will find you. People will compete to be, you'll never have to get in anybody's line. People will get in line for you. So, but it starts small. This is how and it starts with a mindset. It starts with, regardless of whatever God has assigned you to do at that particular time in your life, when you're passage in your life, you ought to be the best at that, right? And then winning an award, believe it or not, winning award for mopping floors and cleaning urinals at that juncture at 19 years old was a high point of my life. Someone recognized me for something I intentionally, actually, psychologically, wanted to be recognized for, and that is doing a good job. And that one thing led to the next thing. As I said to you, how you do anything is how you do everything. And because I did that job with excellence, someone using one of those bathrooms at LaGuardia Airport saw the job that I was doing. And he talked to me and he said, you know, this is the cleanest bathroom in the airport. I mean, he says, you know, who are you? And he asked me a few questions. He says, you know, would you like to sell encyclopedias? Because he liked the way I talked. I said, sure. He says, it's commission. He says, it's Encyclopedia Britannica, but you know, you might like it better than mopping floors. And I said, well, can you win any awards selling encyclopedias? He said, oh yeah, we have awards and plaques. Because I was interested in winning. That was a mindset, right? And so I got a job selling Encyclopedia Britannica alongside of, guess who? Maynard Jackson. Who's Maynard Jackson? The iconic mayor of Atlanta. Of the Atlanta Maynard Jackson Airport is named after him. And Maynard was actually better than me. It's Encyclopedia Britannica. So I learned from Maynard. And one thing led to another. So I'm not going to exaggerate here. I'm going to say the truth to you. I am 70, I'll be 76 soon. I have never, ever, ever had to apply for or look for a job in my entire life. Every opportunity that came from me or to me came from the excellence, the mindset of excellence that I had, right? Someone discovered me, right? The more excellent you are, by the way, the bigger your network will be, and the more excellent people you will attract, right? So that's really, to get out of this poverty mindset is not that difficult with the right sort of circle, the right mindset. We keep saying it. I had a mindset of excellence. And not only did I have a mindset of excellence, but for some strange reason, even when I was a kid, I wanted to teach people what I knew. I wanted to do that. If I did it well, I said, let me show you how to do this, man. Right? Let me show you how to clean this toilet, man, and how it would look like a spit shine, man. Let me share that with you, right? So I always had that attitude of whatever little I knew, I wanted to share it with other people. And the people I began gravitating towards in my life were also of that kind of mindset and were climbing the ladder. So I think it's environment, no question about that. But we were, you know, I was not in a good environment. And the Bed-Stuy is no joke. There were times in growing up in Bed-Stuy, I mean, to be truthful, I've told this story before, the reason I'm in Cleveland and how I ended up in Cleveland was running away from my family. Because when I aged out of foster care, I was in orphanages and foster cares for 15 years. And I aged out at 18, and my father maintained the brownstone that he had built in Bed-Stuy back in the early 20s. And by the time I got back, I'm the youngest of all of the 11 now. I had older brothers who were there, but they were heroin addicts and serving time in Rikers Island, right? So I knew that I had to get out of there, right? Here I am, this very young, very impressionable, and I had to leave. So I packed up what little I had, got on a Greyhound bus, and came to Cleveland, Ohio. I had to bless them and release them. I had to remove myself from that environment. Now, I don't know if that's God. I don't know, but I know that God was talking to me. I said this earlier. God is constantly talking to us, telling us exactly what to do. And God must have been saying to me, Georgie boy, because that's what they used to call me, you got to get the hell out of here, right? And that's what I did. And that took a lot of courage to leave an environment that I knew, the only environment that I knew, to go to a place that I knew nothing about. Fortunately, I had an older sister who took me in. So sometimes you just have to remove yourself from your environment. I know all of this is a lot easier said than done. I'm just giving you the things that I did to get out of a very toxic environment with a sort of poverty mentality, where education was not the primary objective. Yes, we had to get out of high school, but nobody was talking about college. And therefore, I had to do something different if I was going to have more than what I saw of my friends around me. What they had was not enough for me. And I had to make a different set of decisions. Now, if I had followed them, I told you what they were doing, well, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. So you have to have the courage. You have to have in a sense, the mentorships as well, because I also had some people who helped me. People at LaGuardia Airport, an older brother who helped me, talked to me, and he used to. I used to ride home with him after, because he was on the midnight shift with me, and he would take me home. He was an older guy, and I'm in my early 20s, late teens, early 20s, and he's in his 50s. So that's old to you when you're that age, and he talked some sense into me, and he basically said, this is not the best place to grow up. I don't know if you have any other place to go, but you might want to consider, if you can, doing that. But he did it very nicely, very eloquently, very elegantly, and one thing led to another, and I ran away from the biggest problems in my life, which were my surroundings at that time.
Yeah.
So I guess another way to say that is to see failure as a beginning, not as an end. It's another way to say that. See failure as a beginning, not as an end. I've said it before. I've failed my way to success. I really have, but I've learned. And I've used those lessons to climb each step on my ladder to success, right? And I've always been smart enough to build relationships throughout my life. Where I got that from at the early stages of my life, I don't know. All I know is that that's what I did, and that's what worked. Move outside of your immediate circle. There's always somebody out there, Doc, that will help you if they see that you are intentional and you are serious and you want help. And you will do everything you can to help you first, because God helps those who help themselves. So if they see you helping you, they will want to help you. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Wow. I love what you said when you said, see failure as a beginning, not an end. And
that's right.
Just you have to be able to move outside of that immediate circle. One thing I always say is don't let your circle box you in.
That's right.
So we have to be willing to go out, go out of the comfort zone, so to speak. So yeah,
That's right.
that's where
If
the
you are in a, Doc, if you're in a circle and your circle does not inspire you, you're in a cage. You're not in a circle.
wow, wow,
You have to get out of that cage. That's what I had to do. I had to get out of the cage. I was in a circle that was not inspirational. So I wasn't in a circle. I was really in a cage. And so unless I found a way to break out of that cage, to have some courage and to break out of that cage, again, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
wow. Well, I'm grateful that you broke out of that cage because for years, so many people have been benefiting from this, and we have just sat here and learned so much. And so it has been an honor to interview you today, to talk about networking, to talk about breaking cycles of poverty, and really just helping us to really just level up, to go to like the next stage in life, to get out of that rut, to, get out
Mm-hmm.
from the places that we might have been in. It's time to go to your next level. So I hope that you've been taking some notes. I hope that you have learned. I know you've learned something. So it's really up to you, the listener, what you do with what you heard today. Look, we've got some lessons today. You might have experienced some losses, but today we got some lessons. So now it's time to level up. So thank you, Dr. Fraser. Listen,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to invite everybody. I want to invite everybody to the Power Networking Conference.
Yes.
August the 11th through the 14th, virtual, like no other. We won all kinds of awards for our virtual conference. So come to the Power Networking Conference. You'll learn all about it. There'll be a lot more promotion on it, but it's August the 11th through the 14th. 4 incredible days. Some of the best speakers, and all we talk about is business and money, business and money, business and money, and you need to be there.
Yes, you need to be there. Yes. So, Dr. Fraser, if they want to find out more about you, if they want to follow you, where can they find out more information about you and the Power Networking Conference?
They can go to the powernetworkingconference.com website. They can follow me on Facebook. They can follow me on LinkedIn. They can follow me on Twitter. They can follow me on Instagram. They can follow me on TikTok. Right? So I'm on all the social media platforms here at 76 years old. I am partying with those on TikTok. Or, if there's a platform, I'm on it. I post something every single day that is either inspirational, aspirational, informational, funny, or just downright provocative. So follow me.
Yes, follow.
And by the way, I'm on Clubhouse too. I'm on Clubhouse. Are you on Clubhouse?
I'm on Clubhouse. Yes. So we're both on Clubhouse. Follow us on there. Your Clubhouse handle is what is your Clubhouse handle? Is it
Dr. George C. Fraser?
All right. So listen, find him on Clubhouse. You can find him on TikTok. Look, he beat me to TikTok. Look, I got a TikTok, but I haven't used it yet. But Dr. Fraser is on.
Well, I'm not dancing. I'm not dancing on TikTok. I don't know. No. I'm just saying stuff.
You're just saying stuff. Okay. Well, he's not dancing, but listen, he is entertaining us and giving us content. And he said every single day he's posted. So listen, check him out, follow him, and check out the Power Networking Conference. Give us a date for that one more time and the website. So
August the 11th. August the 11th through the 14th, Wednesday through Saturday from 12 noon to 6:30. And it's thebomb.com. We've got some incredible speakers from everybody from Boyce Watkins last year. That was our first one last year. We had to do because of the pandemic. We had to do it virtually. So our live conference is thebomb.com. That's next year in August. So you'll find out about that then.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. I hope you all check it out. It's something that you don't want to miss. It's the biggest networking event that you will ever find. Dr. Fraser is absolutely amazing. Like I said, he's a living legend. So go check him out. Follow him on all social media platforms. Stay connected with this great man because he's always giving out some great value. So thank you so much once again, Dr. Fraser, for this interview. We have absolutely enjoyed you today. And you, the listener, if you enjoyed what you heard. Please share this with your followers, share this with your friends, your family, all of those in your network. Hint, hint. Share this, give them some value, give this as a gift to them, because look, listen, we heard today, it's all about giving. So share this and stay connected. Subscribe and follow and leave a review. Do whatever you can, because that's how you show that you appreciated what you heard today. And so we thank you once again, Dr. Fraser, and to you, the listener, I thank you once again for tuning in. And until next time, this has been Dr. Mary Kaye Holmes, your host of Outlive the Labels. Thank you for listening.